Hello everyone, and I am here to talk about the structure of Mercy, Tears of the Fallen. So, I something about the structure of this book has really stuck with me. And I think I have to talk about it because it's so good in my opinion. I mean, it gives you at the very first 30 pages. What it does is it hooks you in very easily, of course. It gives you a glimpse of what this story can be. It shows you all these glimpses of the grandiose nature of the world, too. I genuinely think that, especially with those first 30 pages, they are a fantastic beginning prologue. Because you get to see the huge badass tree in the distance, and you get to see all these little hints as to the greater world around you, and you also get an emotional tie to the book. You get wrapped up in all these characters that we're introduced to, and you just love them so quickly. Chance does a fantastic job of that. But what he does later on in the book is even better. So I'm going to use this as the point to mark spoilers if you haven't already read the book. Because originally I wasn't going to do spoilers, but I'm realizing I do need spoilers. So scram, 3, 2, 1, skadoodle, goodbye. Now, I want to get back to it. So it's what he does with that emotional foundation that is so cool to me. So, of course, we love those first 30 pages. We love all the characters there. And everybody dies. Oh, shit. Everybody's dead. And what's so fascinating is that give it 30, 60 pages back more, and Alavist is back. And so we return to that emotional foundation. He becomes the mentor figure for Eravane. And what's so fascinating about this is we have to see the mentor grow with the apprentice. And, of course, that's nothing too new, but as we do that, we get a bit of we have that parallel with God damn it, her name and her master, the King's Hand, and I want to say it's Vivienne, but I could be so very, very wrong. God damn it, hold on. Viela, there we go, Viela and the King's Hand. And we have that contrast. But I think the contrast is so well done in that we have these two different points. We have Eravane and his mentor, Alavist. We have Vivea. I think that's what I just said. I already forgot it. God damn it. I loved her in the book, mind you, especially towards the last half, but we'll get there. So we have Vivea and the King's Hand on one end, and we have Eravane and Alavist on the other end. And for Eravane and Alavist, it is escaping from their problems. Or not escaping from their problems per se, but they're learning to overcome them. I think that's a better way of saying it. While Vivea and the King's Hand are just starting off their problems. For example, the King's Hand is forced to help kill the king with the help, or with the request of, what's his name? The architect, there we go. And with the whole ending sequence, Vivea and the King's Hand have to learn a completely new foundation, a new basis for their entire world and how they need to operate. Same with Eravane and, Alavis. There we go. And what's so cool about that is one is an ascension, the other is a descension. Now, I think it's too early to talk about Vivea, but absolutely for the King's Hand, he is not going in a positive direction. He's going in negative character growth, while we have Eravane and Alavis going in positive character growth. But with Alavis and his whole revelation of his wife's alive, which is just the coolest. Which is just like, oh, god damn it, Chance, give me book 2. I'm so happy that's coming out in March next year, I think. I think that's March next year. But the fact that we have this dissension in one area and an ascension in the other is fascinating. And it brings to question, how are these characters going to grow or evolve in the next book? I think it's one of those situations where definitely we need to see where the character goes, and I'll probably have to do something like this again for book 2, but my point remains that while we have Vivea and the King's Hand, they already are managing a group of people. They are managing the kingdom, while Eravane and Alavis must learn to manage a group of people. They are starting their journey off and ending a different journey. It's a parallel let me put it into clearer words since I've been spewing it everywhere. So, for Vivea and the King's Hand, they've already learned to control a group of people, to help manage a group of people. But the more problematic issues are starting to arise. Their internal affairs are starting to become more unstable, with the death of the king and the architect wanting to do something more. He wants, I cannot remember for the life of me what he wants. I'm pretty sure it's been stated, but, or maybe he has, god damn it. That's the thing. I have such bad memory at times. But the way that evolves and how their problems, their internal affairs are starting to become problems. Like Vivea is having a hard time with Eravane since they're separated. Of course, Eravane is too, but it's a little less of a problem for him because he's just been a drunk mercenary for the past few years, while Vivea, she's had a job. She's been stable in her life. And the King's Hand, he's been stable. He's just been helping the king out. And then everything begins with the assassination attempt of Vivea, and their internal problems are beginning. While Eravane and Alavis, their internal problems began long ago with the death of Alavis's family and the assassination of Eravane's wife. And so their internal problems, their emotional problems, have had time to sit with them, and they have had to process through those for years. But Vivea is just getting started, while Eravane and Alavis, what they're getting started on is the thing that Vivea and the King's Hand have already known: leading people. Now, of course, you can make the argument that Alavis led people before, but this is a different Alavis. I think it's a very unfair thing to say, in my opinion, that Alavis has led people before, thus he should know how to handle people now. No, he's spent the past, God knows how long, was it 4 years, 5 years, just hell-bent on revenge to the point, hold on, I got it here. So we have 33 years later. Okay, let me tell you right now. He spent 33 years on a quest for vengeance. I think at that point, if he's been solely focused on vengeance, there's going to be a bit of a divide at that point, you know? Is that right? Am I accurate in that? Hold on. This feels kind of crazy. Yeah, it's and then it went out. Yep. So 33 years of just pursuit of vengeance. Of course, he's going to learn, he's going to lose people skills. So Alavist has to relearn people skills. Vivea has to go through problems that are emotionally traumatic for her, because I think she's pregnant. I think that's accurate. And the King's Hand, of course, is going through an emotionally problematic time, since what is the equivalent of a saint just told him that his best friend, the king, should be killed, is about to be killed. And I think the architects are the equivalents of saints. Oh, well, I think demigods might be a better equivalent to that, but I digress. I just think that the parallels of we are going on an arc for both of these sides, but what one side has already learned, the other side must learn, and is just starting off their journey. I think that's the best way to phrase it. Like I said, Vivea and the King's Hand are learning the things that Eravane and Alavist have just finally overcome, while Eravane and Alavist are now just learning the things that Vivea and the King's Hand have learned over their past years of experience. I guess Vivea is a bit more not adept, but it's really the same relationship as Alavist and Eravane. And I just thought that the structure of these two characters being brought in parallel arcs is fascinating, and it makes me question that where are they going to go? And if you do this right, it could be phenomenal. I think he can do it, so we'll see. I'm very excited to see where book 2 is going to go, because I mean, like I said, these two characters, or these two pairs of characters, are going in such wildly different directions, and yet there's that tie between them, in that Eravane and Vivea are lovers. So what's going to happen? Are they going to go in directions so far separate from each other? I think Vivea was against the death of the king, by the way. I could be very wrong about that, but I think she was. And I'm just very, very interested in seeing where their archetypes will go, where these pairs are going to end up, because their arcs have been so similar. We finish this thing, and then this new problem arises that my pal has arisen, that my pal has overcome. So what might happen, here's my bit of theory guessing, is that the two of these have to work together to accomplish something in the end. Specifically, Vivea and Eravane. I believe that at the end of the day, what's going to happen is, of course, they're in conflict because the architect wants the tears. Yeah, the tears that Eravane and Alavist have. And so, of course, we have the third factor of Alavist's wife, who we know nothing about what happened after she was killed. But for Alavist, I feel like he and the King's Hand are going to be in direct opposition, because I think it was the King's Hand who never liked Alavist, and when he was brought up at having been at the assassination of, was it the princess? I think she was not a princess. The lady from early on who was killed. And how I think those two are going to come into conflict. And Vivea and Eravane, who represent the best aspects of their masters, Alavist being Eravane's master, and damn it! The King's Hand, I wish I remembered his name, being Vivea's master, respectively, are both going to come together to create this bond. And I have no idea where the story could go beyond that. But I just think that that structure serves so well the themes of struggle and learning how to work through pain. Because by having that be the end-all, be-all, we have this moment of having multiple people, having help from the outside is another way which helps us overcome our pain. Like, we see it in Eravane, but we don't see it entirely. And I think that it would be, or that general direction is what I believe is going to happen. And the fact that that is the current trajectory of their arcs is very telling. That this is absolutely a story about love and about pain and about overcoming that pain. I just think that it will be absolutely fascinating for those two characters, Eravane and Vivea, to help create that bond. And yeah, you know what? I think I'm rambling on at this point, but I do genuinely believe that the trajectory of these arcs can be so great because the people in Vivea's life are helping her overcome her pain of almost being assassinated, the trauma of almost being murdered and assassinated, and Eravane is being helped by the admittedly emotionally distraught Alavist. In whatever ways Alavist can muster, because he is a mess, clearly. But that's all I got to say for this. Thank you for sticking around, even though I am a mess with this whole shebang. I haven't done a video deep dive in quite a while. I do really like doing this, and this idea just popped into my head a moment ago. So, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Tell me, what do you think of my ideas? What do you think of my theory? And what do you think of the structure? Do you think that this structure was well done? I think it was. I think that this specific aspect, this parallel that Chance has created, is definitely fantastic and can further serve his narrative extremely well if done right, and I think he can do it. So I'm not really worried. I trust that he's going to do it next thing, because he's growing. He's growing as an author. And I believe I've heard people say that, I think I saw Slay say at some point that he read some of it and that it was fantastic. Book 2, that is. And so I'm very excited to see where this will go. And I mean, even in this one book, you see where Chance has grown. You see from the beginning how he does fantastic in those first 30 pages, though I'm gonna ignore those because I'm sure he rewrote that part like 10, 20, 30 times. And that middle section, like from the very start, and we see him grow until that very ending segment, and it's like, oh shit, he's nailing it here. Anyways, I hope you all have had a fantastic day, and I hope you all will have a fantastic day until we see each other again. I hope you all have a great day. See you next time.